Hello everyone, welcome back to another episode of Phoenix Plays TF2, although I would probably rename this episode Phoenix Talks TF2. This is a video about the soldier. Primarily, I will be talking about the various items that you can equip for soldier, what they do, base damage, crit damage, other various factors, latent effects, illicit effects. So right here is a very stock soldier. Nothing equipped, stock rocket launcher, stock shotgun, and stock shovel. The stock shovel on base damage will do 65, and on a crit will do 195, unless it has a damage modifier. All classes, except for the scout and the spy, will do 195 crit damage and 65 base damage. The shotgun does 60 base damage. This damage is accounted for 6 damage per pellets with 10 total pellets per shot. One pellet always travels down the exact center of your targeting reticule, so you can always at least get 6 damage, or 3 because I do believe the drop-off damage. The rocket launcher does on a base 90 damage, and on a crit does 270. The rocket launcher, loaded, has 4 ammo and carries 20. The shotgun loads 6 and carries 32. And the shovel is a shovel. You can't carry more than one shovel. So first we will cover the primaries. The first primary that we will talk about after the stock is the original. The original is, in every sense of the word, a reskin of the stock rocket launcher. The only thing that differs from the stock is that in first-person view, the view model is drawn in the center rather than off of the right shoulder of the soldier, meaning that your rockets will travel down the center of your reticule rather than slightly to the right. It also looks and sounds like the Quake rocket launcher. So there's a little tidbit for your Quake fans out there. Again, it does base damage 90, crit 270, ammo loaded 4, ammo carried 20. Next is the direct hit. You can get the direct hit by completing enough soldier achievements. The direct hit has a 25% damage bonus, 80% projectile speed, and at Minicrits airborne targets launched by explosions, but the downside is that it has a 70% less explosion radius. This weapon, on a base damage, is 112, and on a crit does 338 damage. Ammo loaded 4, ammo carried 20. This weapon rewards those who can manage to get direct hits with rockets, thus the name. Otherwise, with the other rockets, most players usually go for the splash damage in order to maximize the chance to hit rather than going for body shots. The direct hit rewards those who can bounce and juggle players up into the air, but in my experience, because of the smaller explosion radius, it's a bit more difficult to juggle targets into the air. But if you do manage to get a juggle, or you have a teammate using a rocket launcher with a bigger radius, you can use their juggle to get your own mini crit. So teamwork can be useful with this weapon. Next weapon is the black box. The black box, on hit, will heal 15 health, but it has a 25% less clip size, meaning that it only has 3 loaded and 20 carried. With the black box, it says on hit 15 health. What it doesn't tell you is that no matter how many people you hit with the splash damage, you will only return 15 health. Doesn't matter if you hit the whole team with the splash damage, 15 health period. You won't get 15 times 8 for 8 targets hit. You'll get 15 times 2 for 2 targets hit. 8. You only get 15 health period. The next weapon will be the rocket jumper. The rocket jumper isn't really a weapon per se. It's a training weapon for beginner soldiers or experienced soldiers looking to learn how to rocket jump better. The rocket jumper gives you triple primary max ammo. You take no blast damage from rocket jumping, but it does no damage. Cannot random crit. It's irrelevant because you can't do damage. And the rarer cannot carry the intelligence. I remember before they added that, Demomen with the sticky jumper and soldiers with rocket jumper would just rocket jump or sticky jump into the intel room and then just jump right back out before anyone could do anything about it. Again, not really a weapon. Most players usually pair the rocket jumper with the market gardener because you do crits while rocket jumping, but I will probably discuss loadout synergy in another video, so we will just continue on with the primaries. The next weapon is the Liberty Launcher. The Liberty Launcher has a 40% increase in projectile speed, but it too also has a 25% less clip size, meaning that 3 rockets loaded and 20 carried. Base damage is 90 with all of the other rocket launchers other than direct hit, and on a crit would do 270. Next damage isn't really a rocket launcher, it's more of a laser launcher. The Cowmangler 5000 does not require ammo, meaning that you do not have to run around the map looking for dispensers, fallen weapons, or ammo in order to make sure that you don't run out of ammo. Alt Fire, a charge shot that Minicrits players and damages buildings for 4 seconds. What Valve does not tell you with this description is that if you get a hit or a splash damage hit with the Alt Fire charge shot, you will set your opponents on fire, and then they will suffer afterburn damage for 6 seconds. Afterburn damage is typically about 3 damage per second. Let's see. 10% damage penalty, no random critical hits, 5% slower reload time, deals only 20% damage to buildings, and cannot be crit boosted. In other words, most players in their right frame of mind would not use this. Although the mini-crits can be useful at times, all it takes is a pyro air blasting to put out the fire. And also your charge shots can also be reflected back at you, which can also be a bad thing. Base damage, it does 81 base, and on a mini crit it does 108 because it cannot be crit boosted. Most players, as I mentioned, usually don't use this just because it's a gimmicky weapon, in my opinion. I mean, it's lasers, pew pew, but also Valve doesn't tell you that the Cowmangler loads 5 shots rather than 4. Don't know why this is not mentioned, but Valve does crazy things sometimes. Alright, and the last rocket launcher to cover will be the Beggar's Bazooka. The Beggar's Bazooka does not have a clip to start with. You have to hold down fire to load up rockets. The most you can load up is 3, and if you attempt to load up more, you will take your rocket launcher will misfire, meaning that it will blow up in your face, and you'll take quite a bit of damage. Once you've loaded up 1, 2, or 3 rockets, however many you want to launch, releasing fire will just barf rockets out. The downside is that plus 3 degrees random projectile deviation. This means that your rockets will not be traveling slightly off to the right of the crosshair as rockets should. They will be going off to the left, they will be going down to the ground, they'll be going up, they'll be going further to the right, they'll be going further to the left, they'll be going everywhere. So this is very much a close quarters weapon. The other downside is that you can't stand by an NG nest and spam it because you cannot collect ammo from dispensers. You have to go around and find fallen weapons or ammo boxes. Valve also doesn't mention that the Beggar's Bazooka has a 30% slower reload time, meaning that you will put rockets into the weapon 30% slower than the average reload rate for all the other weapons. But when you release a barrage, you will barf them up at 70% faster increased fire rate, meaning that you'll be firing a lot faster in those narrow corridors, which usually results in just massive splash damage deaths everywhere. Right, that covers all of the rocket launchers. The next weapon that we will cover, or the next weapon sets, will be the secondaries. The shotgun is his stock weapon. Again, does 60 damage base, but on a crit will do 180. The next weapon we will cover, or not really a weapon, but it's a item that can be used to deploy a buff to aid your allies. Provides an offensive buff that causes nearby team members to do mini-crits. At 100% charge, you and your nearby teammates will get 10 seconds of guaranteed mini-crits. Mini-crit damage can be explained possibly in a later video. I will put a link down in the description about crit damage increase, mini crit damage increase, all of the other little goodies that you guys probably want to know. The buff banner requires 600 damage in order to be fully charged. And then once you're fully charged, you just blow your horn and then boom, 10 seconds of mini crits. Alright, next will be the gunboats. The gunboats are not a weapon either. They take the place of your secondary, but you take 60% blast damage from rocket jumps. So whenever you rocket jump, you won't be taking as much damage. But I personally don't use them. You don't see a lot of players using them either. Just because most players prefer, in my experience, to have a ready steady shotgun with them in order to do damage whenever their rocket launcher is empty or when targets are up close. Next is the battalion's backup. Provides a defensive buff that protects nearby teammates from crits and blasts 35% of incoming damage. Rage increases through damage taken. It takes 350 damage in order to fully charge your buff, and once you activate this, 35% you reduce damage, but you're also protected from crits. This is a very viable item to use whenever the enemy team is rolling the Crits Krieg on a medic. Crits Krieg will give the healing patient 100% guaranteed criticals for 8 seconds. So the battalion's backup will totally negate criticals. So that can definitely turn the tide of a battle. Next will be the Conjurer. The Conjurer, the description is written in a haiku. With buff, some damage dished out by nearby teammates comes back as healing. In order to break that on down, after you deal about 480 damage, your rage meter will be ready, and then once it's deployed, you and nearby teammates will heal 35% of the damage you deal. Some would say that it's not as useful as buff banner or the battalion's backup, but having everyone heal damage that they put out back can be pretty useful in helping you survive encounters. Next up are the Mantrip. The Mantrips are like the gunboats. They are boots you wear on your feet. 75% reduction in push force taken from damage. So meaning that if a soldier hits you with a rocket, you will not be going flying back as far. And if you land on a player, you will deal 3 times falling damage to the player you land on. I'm not exactly sure on the mechanic for this, but I think the falling damage that you would have taken, you deal that 3 times to the person that you landed on. So if you're going to take 20 damage from falling, you would deal 60 to the person you landed on. I'm not sure if there's a cap to this, but it's a very strange mechanic. I personally don't use these because I don't rocket jump enough to get on people's heads. Next is the reserve shooter. The reserve shooter allows a 50% faster weapon switch. Does not matter if it's to or away from the reserve shooter. You could be switching from your primary to your melee, and you would have a 50% faster weapon switch. It mini-crits airborne targets for 3 seconds after being deployed, meaning that once you pull it out, you have 3 seconds of mini-crits on airborne targets before you have to put it away and then pull it back out again in order to re-get that mini-crit bonus. And it has 50% less clip size, meaning that it carries 3 in the clip, and it carries 32 ammo. Base damage 60, crit is 180, same damage applied for the stock shotgun. 6 damage per pellet, 10 pellets. This is really useful if you can juggle a target up in the air with your rocket launcher. You aim for defeat, bounce them up, and then you switch to your reserve shooter. And then you get the mini crits. The last secondary to cover is the Righteous Bison. The Righteous Bison, like the Cowmangler 5000, does not require ammo. The projectile penetrates enemy targets. The projectile cannot be deflected, but it also too only deals 20% damage to buildings. The Righteous Bison on a base does 16 damage, and on a crit does 36 to 80. The reason why the damage is so low is because the Righteous Bison can penetrate multiple times. I think that if an enemy stands still, you can hit them 3 to 4 times with one blast. One thing that Valve does not mention with this is that you can light Huntsman arrows on fire. So meaning that if a sniper has the Huntsman, you just take a little shot at their arrow, and then poof, arrow is on fire. It also has a 33% smaller clip size, which Valve does not mention, meaning that it only has 4 in the clip.
Right.
Rather than 6. Finally, we will be covering the melee weapons. I won't cover the reskins just because they all do the same exact thing. So the shovel, as I mentioned earlier, is 65 base damage, 195 crit. Next is the Equalizer. The Equalizer, damage increases as the user becomes injured, and it blocks healing while in use. At full health, the Equalizer actually does less than the stock shovel. It only does 33 damage. Oh, also should mention that it blocks healing while in use. So if you have the Equalizer out, medics cannot target you to heal, and you cannot call for medics. So let me look at the exact stats here for Equalizer, because Equalizer at full health, 200 plus health, you only deal 33 damage. At 114 health, it deals the base damage of a shovel, 65. At 52 health, it does 88 damage, which is the mini crit damage of a shovel. And at 1 health, it does 107 damage. Many times, you're not going to be at 1 health. But in the event that you do, you are going to be dishing out some serious damage. Next weapon is the Pain Train. The Pain Train has +1 capture rate on a rarer, and you have a latent 10% bullet damage vulnerability on wearer. Not if you have it out, it's period. So the fact that it is equipped in your loadout, you will suffer 10% bullet damage, 10% bullet damage vulnerability, and capture just as fast as a scout. Scout captures objectives at ×2, so the soldier will capture at ×2 also with this equipped. Next is the half Zatoichi. On the kill, doesn't matter if you're at 109 or at 1 health. On kill, you will be restored to full health instantly. But, like any traditional samurai, once you draw your sword, you must kill someone with it. You cannot put it away until it kills. And with this haiku here, soldiers and demos can duel with katanas for 1-hit kill. This means that any soldiers or demos that actively have this weapon out, 1 hit, doesn't matter how much health they have, 1 hit will kill them instantly and give you full health. can be a very useful surprise weapon on a enemy that has no idea where you are. You just come up behind him, 65, and you just keep whacking them until they're dead. Boom, full health. Or if there's a soldier or a demo man who has this out, get the advantage, and then bam, full health. The Pain Train and the Half Sadawichi, forgot to mention, both do base damage 65 and crit for 195. The next weapon is the Disciplinary action. The Disciplinary action, on hit on an ally, boosts both player's speed for several seconds, meaning both you and your teammate will experience a speed increase, but it has a 25% damage penalty, meaning that it only does base 49 and crit 147. Valve also doesn't tell you that it has a 70% longer melee range, meaning that you can reach out to your teammates further than your standard melee weapon. This weapon is also a great spy detector, because if you hit a quote-unquote teammate and they don't get a speed increase, they are a spy. Next is the Market Gardener. The Market Gardener, base damage 65 on a crit 195, deals crits while you are rocket jumping, meaning that if you rocket jump, whenever you are in the air before you touch the ground, you will do a crit on a hit, but this weapon does not get random critical hits. Useful, as I mentioned earlier, with the rocket jumper, no self-inflicted splash damage from your rocket launcher, and then you can just jump yourself to someone and then get a crit. The final weapon, which is not a reskin, is the Escape Plan. Movement speed increases as the user becomes injured, and it blocks healing while in use, cannot be targeted by medics, and the medics cannot target you. And the Escape Plan, like the Equalizer, both have a threshold for the amount of speed you get based on health. So, at 300 to 161 health, you will have no speed increase, meaning that you will run at the same speed. At 160 to 121, you will have a 10% speed increase. At 120 to 81 health, you will have a 20% speed increase, which is faster than a demo man who isn't charging. At 80 to 41 health, you will have a 40% speed increase, which is faster than a medic. And at 40 to 1 health, you will have a 60% speed increase, which makes you nearly as fast as a scout. That is something fearsome indeed. Imagine a soldier running at you almost as fast as a scout. Whack. Pickaxe to the face. That will conclude this video. If you liked this video, and if you perhaps want to see more of this series, I will probably call it Phoenix Talks TF2. Be sure to leave a comment down below, like, favorite, and subscribe if you enjoy the video. If you guys seem to like this, I will probably discuss weapon synergy with Soldier. If you want to see another class with all your loadout options available, leave a comment for the class you want to see next, and I will cover that for you. That will cover the video for today. I'm PhoenixVirus, and I thank you for watching my video. I'll see you all next time.